Hi everyone, I hope that you're doing well and great and all of those things there. Welcome to another true crime episode. Today we are dipping across the pond to talk about a crime that happened 2 years ago this week. It was on the 15th of October 2018 that Jake Thomas Patterson abducted 13-year-old Jayme Closs from her family home in Barron, Wisconsin. I want to get into it. The story is crazy to say the least. Welcome to the anniversary. Shwa-na-na-na, 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 shwa-na-na-na. Let us start in the early morning hours of October 15th, 2018, 2 years ago this week. It was around 12:53 a.m. that a 911 call came into the police. The operator who answered the call said that it was inaudible, that it was muffled and there was screaming as well. They got disconnected on the call. They tried to call back and they reached the voicemail of 46-year-old Denise Closs. They then tried to call the Closs landline, the family home, but that was disconnected. So they dispatched officers who went to the Closs house. The evidence that was found at the scene and later processed suggests that someone knocked on the door at around 12:45 in the morning, and James Closs, who was 56, Denise's husband, went to open it. The door was kicked in immediately after he unlocked it. He didn't stand a chance. He was shot and he was killed with a shotgun in his doorway. Denise, hearing the shots, calls 911, and that's what the dispatcher heard on the phone. Denise and Jayme, the 13-year-old daughter, barricaded themselves in the bathroom and got into the bath because they were trying to hide. But the intruder, who was a 21-year-old Jake Patterson, found them. He broke through the bathroom door, he was yelling, and this is what the dispatcher heard. He made Denise put duct tape over Jayme's mouth, and then he shot her and killed her in front of her 13-year-old daughter. He then taped Jayme's hands and ankles and placed her in the trunk of his car. I read somewhere that the police were like 20 seconds or something behind Jake Patterson, that they literally just missed him driving away with Jayme in his boot. The police arrived about 4 minutes after the 911 call, and the search for the person who took Jayme and killed her parents began. They had absolutely no idea who did it. More than 2,000 tips came in the case, and there was a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Jayme and the capture of the perpetrator. Volunteers searched the sides of the US Route 8 near the home, and the police searched. They put out flyers. It was all over the news. It was a very, very heavily reported story, and not only could they not find Jayme, they didn't know, they didn't have a scent, they didn't have a clue as to who could have taken her. That was until January the 10th, 2019. 88 days after Jayme was bound and gagged and kidnapped from her home, she was found alive.
County 911.
Hi. I have a young lady at my house right now, and she says her name is Jayme Closs.
Okay, what's your address?
14. It's in Gordon, Wisconsin.
Okay, have you seen her photo, ma'am?
Yes, it is her. I 100% think it is her.
Are you okay?
100%.
This is what we know happened to Jayme. She was taken to a cabin which was about an hour away from the home that she shared with her family. She was held captive for 88 days at the house, which was owned by Jake Patterson's father. And her time in captivity, it was just a nightmare for her. Remember, she was 13 years old at the time of her disappearance. During police interviews, Jayme told the police that Patterson would force her to hide her into his bed to conceal her presence when family came to visit him. When he left from time to time, he barricaded her under the bed with tote bags and laundry bins and weights stacked around it. He told her that he would know if she tried to move when he was gone. On Saturdays, she was forced to hide under his bed because that's when his family would visit. He beat her on one occasion because he thought that she had moved. Jake Patterson also had sexual fantasies about Jayme, but he claimed to never have acted on them because of the guilt of killing her parents. He believed that Jayme was too afraid of him to make any attempts to leave, and I think that's the case as well. Actually, if you think about it, I know that he was only 21, but she's 13, so that's super young, and this guy has killed your family, that he's killed your world, and he's taken you to a cabin in the woods. I think even at my big age, I'm not sure how confident I would be to make an escape attempt, because you know that he's capable of murder and you're just with him. And I don't know, I think I might stay put just for self-preservation until, like Jayme, it seemed like there was an actual opportunity to escape. On the afternoon of January the 10th, 2019, Jake Patterson told Jayme that he was leaving for a couple of hours, and he put her under his bed as normal. He boxed her inside as per his usual routine, and after he was gone, she pushed out the objects on the bed far enough to escape, and she ran for it. She was only wearing a light shirt and leggings and actually a pair of his trainers. And she came across a local woman who was the voice on the 911 call that I played you earlier. And actually, I have an interview that I found with that woman that I'm going to play for you now.
She was saying to me, I need help, I'm lost, I don't know where I am. So I knew, okay, this kid's in trouble. So then I knew, okay, and I recognized her, of course. I knocked on the door, she opened it, I said, just call 911 because I believe I have Jayme with me. And they recognized her immediately.
I always think what it would be like if, you know, somebody that you recognize from missing posters or wanting posters or whatever it may be, if you ran up on them or you came upon them, how you would react or how you would feel. The whole state, in effect, was looking for this little girl, and you see her in the woods and then you help save her. It's just, I can't even imagine what anyone was thinking there. I can't imagine. Anyway, the police arrived at about 4:45 that day, and the description that she provided of Jake Patterson and his vehicle enabled the police officers to spot his car just minutes afterwards. A deputy stopped him, and Patterson got out of his car and said, "I did it." Jayme was released into the custody of her aunt, where she has been ever since, and Jake Patterson confessed to the police that he had kidnapped Jayme and killed her parents. Now, he had no previous criminal history in Wisconsin. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of kidnapping. His bail was set at $5 million, and he didn't go to trial because he pleaded guilty. Police didn't believe that Jake Patterson had any social media contact with Jayme or her family. The relatives of Jayme and her mum and dad didn't even recognise his name. He told authorities that he saw her getting off a school bus outside the family residence in September while he was driving to work, and he knew that she was the girl that he wanted to take. He had told police that he had been thinking of kidnapping a girl for 2 years, and he had just picked her, that if it wasn't Jayme, it would be somebody else. On May 24th of 2019, he was sentenced to the maximum of 2 consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. Plus, he was sentenced to an additional 40 years for the kidnapping.
There is no doubt in my mind that you are one of the most dangerous men to ever walk on this planet. You are the embodiment of evil, and the public can only be safe if you are incarcerated until you die.
The police and the local authorities, they didn't actually pursue charges against Jake Patterson related to Jayme's 88-day captivity, simply because they had enough evidence to get him on the kidnapping and murder charges, and they didn't want to bring her in for additional questioning and to make life that much more difficult for her. Jayme currently lives with her aunt, and she was awarded $25,000 from the reward money because she actually helped save herself, which is just incredible. And she's been living her life for the last 1.5 years or so, trying to get over and trying to heal since the death of her parents. All the links and the research that I did, including a couple of podcasts I listened to and a 48 hours that I watched on this case with interviews with her family and more than what I've posted in this video, are in the description box. So there you have it. This week marks the 2nd anniversary of the kidnapping of Jayme Closs, a heartbreaking story that involved the loss of 2 lives, but does end in a somewhat happy note because Jayme survived. Thanks for watching.